Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this, and welcome to the GrianaigCreations podcast channel. This is episode 90. My name is Kirsty, my pronouns are they, them, and I am losing my voice. I am coming to you from Paisley in Scotland. Excuse me. So it is currently just after 9:20 in the morning. I've been awake for about 25 minutes. I was hoping for a slightly longer lie-in because I could feel my body was really quite tired, but it had other ideas. So I'm using this time to record a podcast because today is actually a very busy day in this flat. Between myself wanting to record a podcast today, Scott's friend is coming to record something for his YouTube channel. Don't even ask because it's like a punishment video to do with wrestling. So Scott's having 2 eggs cracked over his head. Depending how that video turns out, I might link it below. But yeah, so he's coming here so that the mess is in my kitchen and not in his friend's kitchen. How nice. So I have decided to split my podcast into different segments. And so instead of just being like, here's all my finished objects across several different crafts, I have decided that I'm going to have a knitting segment, a crochet segment, if I have, a cross stitch segment, if I have, and a spinning segment, again, if I have. So today I have 3 out of those 4. And let's face it, there might become more crafts along the way, especially the closer we get to my wedding day and me actually doing stuff for that, because I currently have decision paralysis when it comes to anything to do with the wedding, but we'll talk about that at the end. So that has been a decision I've decided, and it tends to be what you do with decisions. Can you tell I'm just awake? Just awake and my brain's not quite firing. So first off the bat, do we like the hair? I have pink hair again. I'm also wearing my original first ever Love Note sweater, and I am remembering how itchy mohair makes me. So this might not last very long. I might change it out to my crochet sweater. So if anyone, I might see if my mum wants this, but I don't know how she is with mohair. If anyone is roughly also my size, which is plus size, and may want a mohair sweater, let me know. Because yeah, it's causing me to itch. Okay, so let's move things into the order that they should have been in this entire time. Excuse me. I do have a cup of tea to help clear my throat, but I drank it right before I started recording and I actually have burnt my tongue. Okay, so first up in the knitting segment of the podcast is a finished object that I am extremely happy with, and you didn't even see it as a whip. Like, that's how much I have literally just had this fly off the needles. I spoke about it at the end of the last episode, and that was, I was considering casting on the Angel Face Turban, which is a pattern by Amy Apples, or also goes by Poison Girls. And I have finished. It doesn't look like much, and I'm going to talk through some of what I think about the pattern. I already at one point had to completely rip back and start the body again. I tried to rip back and keep the ribbing, and it wasn't to do with the pleats this time. So if you watched my last episode, the reason that I hadn't successfully made one of these before was because I kept forgetting to put the pleats in. So there's pleats all down this back spine, and it gathers all the fabric up so that it sits real good on your head. and you don't think that it's going to whilst you're making it, because you've got this big V coming out. But when you put it on, because you're wrapping it up and around, let's see if I can smooth my hair down. Because you're wrapping it up and around, that V actually becomes extremely useful. And I was a bit worried though, because I have quite a big noggin. Oh, that's actually looking quite good. I might just keep that one. I have quite a big noggin, and I bound it off, but I didn't cut my yarn. And I tried it on, and it was too short. So it sits like where you join it in the round, for me, sits now exactly at the top of my head, which is really good compared to where it was before. What happened was, when I bound it off and didn't cut the yarn and tried it on, with all the ends going everywhere, I tied it and everything, I decided I needed to rip it back just a little bit and take out one pleat. And I literally just took out the last pleat. I wasn't going to rip back any further. I really wanted this off the needles. And, excuse me. And I had decided that if by removing just one pleat wasn't enough, I would gift it to somebody and then just knit myself a brand new one. Maybe not in the same yarn. I need to weigh how much yarn I have left. I could probably get the body, but I don't know if I'd get both ties done. I'm just looking at the yarn just now. And so I took the very last pleat out and decided, right, if that's not enough, I will see if somebody wants this as a gift. And I am over the moon to say that it does fit and it sits really good. I'm really, really pleased with it. And these are going to be, I say these, this is the only one I have. This is going to be really great whilst I'm trying to grow my hair out. Because for anyone that hasn't cut their hair short and tried to grow it back out, you go through a lot of awkward phases. Like, I recorded a podcast yesterday and I just wasn't happy with it. I was extremely low energy, which is funny considering I've been up less than half an hour today. Excuse me. But yeah, I recorded a podcast yesterday. And it was just so funny, like my hair was all flicked out at the bottom, and it stuck out further at the bottom than it did on the top because it was just so fluffy and fresh from the shower. So yeah, this is going to be really great for like hiding my hair in and stuff. I just need to get a couple of like snapping hair slides. So not bobby pins. I don't think they are quite secure enough. But I think I just need the snapping ones, not slapping, to just kind of keep some of my wee hairs at the back in some sort of order. So yeah, this is the Angel Face Turban by Amy Apples. This was, and I had the ball band the other day. I don't know quite where I've put it, but this is some Eden Cottage yarns, which is 100% BFL base. There's no nylon, and it is in the 4-ply, so it's a really gorgeous colour as well. I can't quite tell like if I am really clashing just now. Oh well, we'll roll with it. Continuing on the knitting, I last showed you the sock that I was knitting for my mum. So I've now popped in a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and this one is currently on hold now. I'm not working on this one currently because I decided to start the second one and I'm almost at the point where I can put in the heel. I think I'm just a couple of rows off. I was working on this last night right before I went to bed, and I think I only got about like 2 or 3 rounds on it. So I'm almost at the point where I can put in the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to half this instead of just eyeballing it and doing like a few rows on this one and a few rows on that one. I'm literally just going to half this and then wind up 2 separate balls, and then that way I can just finish one sock at a time. So, a wee tale, or probably an uninteresting story. So for anyone that has watched my last couple of episodes, I have had a lot of problems with my hands. I am currently on the waiting list for a nerve conduction study because my previous hospital nerve conduction study test, the doctor screwed me over. He told me one thing and he went back to my GP telling them a completely different thing. So I now have to wait for a whole new nerve conduction study test, because even my doctor agrees it's definitely carpal tunnel. Like, there's no other thing that he told me about, so don't come shooting down my throat if this is wrong. There's no other issue, I don't know, diagnoses where your hands have pins and needles. And also my trigger finger, I don't know if that's the right way to put that, the tip of my left pointer finger had been numb for 3 weeks, or like pins and needly, like there's electricity in just the tip of my finger for 3 solid weeks. So with all my issues with my hands, for a while I couldn't knit on floor ply. And then I decided that, well, hang on a second, maybe I can knit in floor ply, and maybe I just need to change to magic loop. So this whole sock has been knit in magic loop, and I was okay as long as I took it fairly easy. I normally knit my socks at some speed, like these should have been finished if I was doing it at my normal full 110% speed. But there's something really nice about just slowing down and enjoying the process. I know, so cheesy. But yeah, this sock has been knit 100% on magic loop. And then because I have two 2.25mm needles, the same magic loop length, I started this one on magic loop. And I just randomly decided, because I had an appointment to go to and I wasn't sure how much space I'd have to like pull the cable through and stuff. I decided, right, I'm just going to try going back to my 9-inch circulars and just see if they're still causing me pain. And so I done that. I put the 9-inch circular on. I headed off to my appointment. I was incredibly early, but trying to get parking there is ridiculous. So I deliberately left early, knowing I had my knitting. Excuse me. See, normally you don't have to really deal with this on the podcast because I'm normally awake for hours before. So yeah, headed off to my appointment, sat in my car with my knitting, and I was just working away just fine. My hands were giving me no problems, there wasn't any pain. There's just the usual, you've been knitting too long pain, which I think a lot of people get. So yeah, this is just a couple of rows away from the heel. I'll pop the heel in, which is being knit in a grey drops fable. I do love a good drops fable because it's like £3 for a 50-gram ball. And you can get really cool colours in it as well. So yeah, I'm really not far off putting in the heel. Right, I think that's curled up just a little bit. So yeah, you can see there, I'm not far off. So that'll be done today. And then I'm literally just going to half this ball. And then I'm going to have 2 balls, and then I don't need to worry about trying to make them the same length because they should come out exactly the same length. I'll put that over there. Okay, so I have put on a good amount of work on my board sweater, and I have tried it on. I'm extremely happy with the fit, but did I remember to put in a progress keeper after the last time I showed you? No! So this is the boring sweater. I think last time I showed you I was about here. Does that look about right? And then I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not even going to try and say because I'm probably extremely wrong. But I've put on a good amount of work and I've tried it on. I moved it onto a bigger cable and I tried it on, and I'm not quite happy with the length. I definitely need to go I wouldn't say a lot longer, but I do need to go longer. I've decided that this is going to be one that's going to sit around your bum area, whether that's not including the ribbing and then you rib more and it covers most of your bum. But I've definitely decided that I have the yarn to make it as long as I want it. I'm not worried about yarn. Like, this is not the last of my yarn. I have another full-blown 400 gram ball, and so it's not, I'm not going to scrimp just because, and I'm not going to be like, right, I just want this off the needles. I'm going to knit it as long as I feel I need it. So currently in my head I'm thinking bum length, so past my hips. And I think currently this is just sitting at my hip. So I got a wee bit more to go. I reckon I've got about 4 to 5 inches, and then I would start the ribbing. And then obviously I have the sleeves to do. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress I've made on this. This was the only thing I could knit on for a wee while. And then the last time I tried to pick this up, the thing that happened originally with my hands was that the bigger needles on the tighter gauge was hurting. So I think I put on like 5 stitches last time I picked this up and then had to put it back down, which was really sad because I have really been enjoying working on this. But this is the Boring Sweater pattern by Anna Freiberg, and it's just being knit in a 70% acrylic, 30% wool. I'm not quite sure. I lost the ball band many moons ago, and the ball band on the other ball is upstairs, and I'm not going upstairs. But yeah, it's just being knit in one of those big 400 gram iron ball yarns that you can get. I got mine in a kind of all sorts of shop. So they've got like yarn, they've got DIY stuff, they've got some groceries, they've got everything. It's just like, it's an Aladdin's cave of shops, and that's where I got mine from. Okay, last knitting project is one that I didn't even know I was going to start. I decided that I was just going to go through like my horde of knitting patterns and see what took my fancy. And I had no intentions of starting any particular pattern. I had no intentions of saying, right, okay, I want colour work, I want brioche, I want a shawl, I want a hat. Like, I had no intentions whatsoever. I just knew that I had finished this and I hadn't started a crochet project that I was happy with. My notion for the crochet became that I wanted to do a shawl, but every crochet shawl I looked at I just wasn't happy with. Like, I really wasn't happy with them. And there were so many with that horrible pineapple stitch, and I'm sorry if you like that, but I don't. Like, personal choice, I don't like the pineapple stitch. And I think that's just because when I originally started my fibre journey, I really got in with crochet. Like, that was my in. And everything had that god awful pineapple stitch back then, and it was horrible. Like, we're talking over 10 years ago now. So there wasn't as many independent crochet designers. Crochet wasn't being fought for as much as it is now. And so it was just the generic stitches being churned out left, right and centre. So I'm still trying to find a crochet shawl that I want, but I think everything I would want from a shawl I'm going to get through knitting. And that's not a dig, that's not to start an argument with the die-hard crocheters. That's just my personal opinion. So you've got to remember, this whole podcast is my personal opinion. So, on that note, I decided that I wanted to go down a shawl route or a scarf or something. And I looked through all the patterns that I had in my library and I chose this one. I just realised my iPad that I was going to use for my notes is at the other side of the room. So, this is the Ravelry, R-A-U-L-I, Ravelry, however you choose to say it. I am probably saying it wrong. And it's 2-colour brioche. So, this mohair is making me itch. If it's not me coughing, it will be me complaining I'm itchy. Okay, so to use up the 8 minutes left of my recording time so that I can then go get my iPad, I had a bit of a tale of woe when I was trying to get this pattern up and running. Like, not up and running, when I was trying to pick my yarn. And I have an electric ball winder because of my shoulder. I can't stand and crank with my dominant arm because of my shoulder. I couldn't do it before my shoulder surgery, and it's really uncomfortable after my shoulder surgery. So I have an electric ball winder, so that's part one of the story. And I recently got from a Kickstarter a yarn meterage counter. I don't know if that's the right way to word that. That was a Kickstarter through Maurice, who does the nano electric spinning wheel. And I decided, right, this is the perfect time to get this out, set it all up, and just double check the meterage on these yarns, because the pattern quite clearly states that you really need to have 600 meter range of each yarn. So I ran a yarn through from the skein to the ball winder through the meterage counter. But every now and again, like, it would kind of like jut because the yarn was like tucked up in the skein or had maybe got a wee bit tangled up. And so the meterage counter came out at 550 meters, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. I'm 50-ish meters short. Let me run it through a second time, again with the electric ball winder, but from the cake. And this time it came through at like 535 meters. And I was like, what is going on? So I was like, right, okay, let's omit all of the electricity side of this, and let's not hand wind it, but hand crank it. And so I got my original ball winder out and I started cranking the yarn, running it through the meterage counter. And this time it came out at 515 meters. So I put a thing out on Instagram asking, like, what do I do? Do I contact the dyer and say, like, there could be an issue with some of your skeins? Bear in mind, I'd bought this yarn years ago. Years and years and years ago. And I don't remember where I bought it. I don't remember when I bought it. I just know it was years ago. And my idea was just to give them a heads up, to be like, hey, you might want to like spot check some of your yarns, whether you weigh them and they're in the 600 range, or whether you do something to do average on the meterage. And so I put a thing out on my Instagram saying, what do I do? Do I contact the dyer to give them a heads up, or do I not? And I had enough people come to me to say, what do you want out of this? Like, what are you hoping to gain? To have to go out and put out a couple of extra stories to be like, look, I don't want anything. I don't want my money back. I don't want a replacement. I just want them to have a heads up, because they could have someone a lot ruder come to them and like just give them grief. It takes one really nasty person to really ruin somebody, or ruin their day at least. And I didn't want that to happen. I just wanted them to give them a heads up, because it's not the dyer's fault, it's the supplier's fault. And so I kind of had discussions with some of the people that came to me to be like, what are you hoping to get out of this? And they finally saw my side, and they're like, well, it's entirely up to you. I haven't said anything to the dyer yet. I've chosen to currently kind of not say anything, because I then got guidance from my friend Ellen to weigh off 100 grams and then measure that with just like a tape, like a measuring tape, and then weigh the full ball and then times it by the length that you got. So I'm on the fence, because if I was very, very, very careful not to overstretch the yarn when I was weighing it out. I was very careful to just unwind a bit from that 1 gram and just lay it over the measuring tape, but not to the point where it was all squiggly. Like, this is so hard to explain, because you have to be careful not to overstretch it. Like, that's the thing, you can't take all the stretch out, because you don't know how it's been measured out to begin with. Like, had all the stretch been taken out, like had it been held extremely taut, or had it been held loose. And so I tried my best, and we were looking at 6.5 metres to 6.8 metres, which doesn't sound like an awful lot of difference, but when you times that by the weight of the full ball of yarn, now bear in mind it's meant to be like 150 grams. So I was coming out at either, I think it was like 570 to just over 600 metres. So I've decided not to say anything to the dyer. I've put the ball of yarn back into my stash, and I've gone with 2 other balls of yarn that are coming out a lot better meterage wise, and I'm just hoping that everything's going to go okay. So I don't have the ball bands here, annoyingly, but I am using Woo Sheeps. This is a sparkle base. Yes, sparkle base. And this is one of their 150 grams, which is approximately 600 metres. And I'm also using Queen of Pearls, also 150, approximately 600 metres. And I think these two go so well together. Other people might not agree, but I also checked with like my mum and my dad to be like, hey, am I right? Like, these go together, right? And they're like, yes, those go very well together. So those are my yarns. I want to show off my bag. I got this bag out of Primark, or Primark, however you say it. And this bag was in the cosmetics bags area within the shop, and I decided, heck no, this was going to be a knitting bag. And so it holds both my balls of yarn side by side, which makes it really, really good when you're doing brioche, so that you're not getting like all tangled up and everything. And this is a closer up view of the brioche. So this is the right side. And then this is the wrong side. Sorry, wrong. So I'm really, really happy with how this is coming out, because I'm not confident when it comes to brioche increases and decreases. And this is basically why I chose this project, because I get to practice. camera naturally ran out, so I didn't have to say anything this time, and I have now officially grabbed my iPad. So, this is the, again, it really depends how you say it. I would pronounce it Rauli, R-A-U-L-I, and this is a pattern by Marie-Amélie Designs, and you can get it on Ravelry. Not sure if you can get it somewhere else, that's where I got it from. And let's see, scroll back up. This is the photo. Okay, so the little bit at the top says, halfway between the shawl and the scarf, Rauli is a very soft oval shaped accessory knitted in brioche to drape around the shoulders or wrap around the neck. And there's a photo at the back that really shows some of that stitching detail off, like how it's going to look. There you go. So I just thought this would be really great to practice the increases and the decreases, because I have only done a handful of brioche projects. So I've done the brioche kitty hat, no decreases, no increases. I have done the brioche bandana cowl, only got decreases, and I'm pretty sure I done them wrong every single time. And then there was brioche in my exploration station, and I don't recall, I don't think there was increases. I need to sneeze. Oh, we got it all this morning, folks. Oh, jeez, oh. Okay, so I don't think there was increases or decreases in the exploration station. I don't recall there being any. And so I just was like, right, okay, I need to tackle learning the increases and the decreases. And what better way than a relatively small, narrow, let's go with narrow because it's not going to be small, it looks like it's going to be quite a long shawl. So yeah, relatively narrow, so a contained amount of stitches. I think the most I go up to is like 133. Let me check. Yeah, 133 stitches is the most I'm going to have on my needle. And then you start decreasing down. So I feel like that's a quite a good project to really get you in, because already you're doing two different types of increases. You're doing the brioche knit yarn over brioche knit, and then you're doing a 4-stitch increase for a BR4 ST increase. And so that's been really interesting. And then you've got your increases and your decreases as well. So it's been really nice to work on, but it's definitely one of those projects where I have to be paying attention. Like, I can't be watching something that I want to watch whilst doing that shawl, and I can't really hold a conversation. Like, I can listen to somebody talk, but I can't talk and knit on it at the same time. So it's definitely one of those projects that's going to take me a while, and that's fine. Like, that, I'm okay with that, because it allows me to practice the increases and the decreases, and it's also just going to be looking real good by the time I'm done. Always a plus. So that's the Ravelry by Marie-Amélie Designs. I guess we'll move on to crochet now. So I have been bitten by the amigurumi bug. So after my last podcast where I said I wanted to knit, I wanted to crochet this sweater or this garment or so on and so forth, none of that happened. I really wanted a quick satisfaction project, and I remember my sister asked me for this little amigurumi octopus. So I whipped one up. And this little guy is just so stinking cute, like proper tiny. Sits in the palm of your hand, like you can close your hand up around it. Really small. Really cute, really quick to make. So I sent a photo to Scott, and then somebody in his work was just like, oh my god, I want one. So I made one for his friend in work. And then I asked my sister, what colour did she want? And she's like, I don't know. So I made another one. And then I decided I was going to make one in a really wacky colour that I got out of the pound shop. And Scott has nabbed this one. Like, this is Scott's little one. And then I decided I wanted to make a big one. So I made a big one. So if we do this. Oh, hang on, we're missing one. Well, that's one way to show them off. Oh, I've got an itchy nose. So, not only did I make these little guys. Oh, come on. I made these as well. So yeah, I've been a bit busy when it comes to amigurumi, and I am okay with that. Okay, so all one pattern, just different weights of yarn. So these two are made with DK weight. These two are made with Aran weight and a 4mm needle. So the DK was made with a 3mm, these were made with a 4mm, and then this big guy was Aran held double with a 6mm. This hurt my wrist, not gonna lie, so I'm probably never gonna make one that big. Or if I do, it would probably be on a 6.5 or a 7mm crochet hook. So it would come out even bigger, which could be really cute. This one's for me, because I'm not giving away something that hurt my hand so much. And so, the pattern that I used was... Oi, come on, change. Mini Amigurumi Octopus by Sarah Heron. It is a freebie, and it's on Ravelry, but the pattern is on her website. So in the description box below I will link to her website. So that is the octopus. Then let's talk about these ones. So this is so cute. It's a cat. It doesn't look it because the tail is hidden in the back, and I think, if I'm being honest, I maybe put the tail too far down on the back. So I put it right down at the bottom. I think I maybe should have put it up slightly, like maybe just like a finger width up, so that it really sticks up the back. But this little guy is the Cube Kitty Cat Amigurumi pattern by Crafty Bun Bun. As just like the octopus, it goes to a website, so I will link to the website and not to the Ravelry page. But this little guy, I think because I've made him in such a crazy colour, it could benefit with just a solid colour, maybe. Like, I still think this works. It's just a bit busy. Like, you have to kind of like take a second to be like, right, what am I looking at? But yeah, like I even showed my parents and they had no idea it was a cat until they were in the flat and saw it in person. So I think it would benefit from a solid colour, but I still love it. And then the last one is Malcolm the Mallard. Oh, his beak's pushed down. Malcolm the Mallard by the Fuzzy Bee. Again, links to a website, so I'll put that in the description box below. This little guy is so cute. So, personal critique time. I think I put the feet too far away. My fault, on me. And therefore the wings are maybe too far back. But I still think it looks cute. Like, I still think it looks adorable. On the pattern on the website, the feet are definitely closer together and the wings are definitely more round the front. But I don't know, I just think there's something cute about having them where I've put them. I think if I did make another one though, I would bring the feet a little bit closer together and therefore allow for the wings to come round the front a bit more. That's Scott awake. Okay, so that's my finished crochet. There's so many of them. Okay, and now for my work in progress crochet, which is going to be very interesting because I literally have 2 parts and I think I have a lot more to make. So if anyone wants to guess what I'm making. So this is the body, this is the tail. It's going to eventually kind of look like that and face that way. So like you're seeing it face on. And there are a lot more components to it. If anyone wants to guess what this is going to eventually be, I would be very curious to see if anyone gets it. You have to think along my aesthetic and be like, right, what does Kirsty really like? Or not really like, but what does Kirsty like from her childhood that this could possibly be? But I just decided to make this on a whim, and I'm a bit hesitant because the pattern says that I need wire and also that I need paint for the eyes, and I'm just like no, because I think it's a certain type of paper that you draw on, you paint on, and then you need fabric glue to stick the eyes on, and I'm just wondering if I could just use safety eyes, to be perfectly honest. And that's not me being lazy, it's just, it's a cost saving thing as well. Like, I really am trying to save money, and going out to buy more supplies is just not on my cards just now. It's really not. So that is my work in progress, and I'm not going to say any more on it because I would be very curious to see if anyone can guess what I'm making. And then as it progresses, like, I wonder if anyone can guess, but I might end up getting it finished at one point between podcasts. So that is my work in progress. Okay, so crochet aside, knitting's also done. It is on to the cross stitch. Now bear in mind, this does not look like much. I have cross stitch. I have officially started the Star Wars characters at the beach. This is the start of Darth Vader, believe it or not. I started this only last night, to be perfectly honest. Like, I got so wrapped up in knitting the angel face turban and then doing all my amigurumi that I just went off the cross stitch bandwagon for just a little bit, and then I got on this last night. So I started in the center, which is up here, like this is my center point, and I worked down and then up and then down and then up, and then this is the start of Darth Vader's cape. And so I'm just knitting, I'm just working one colour at the moment and one character as well. Like I don't want to be jumping too far to do different things, so I'm just going to work one character at a time, and then that will be that. So we close up. So it really doesn't look like much, and that was actually quite a lot of work last night. That was a couple of hours worth of work, and so I'm just going to plug away at it, add to it when I can, and see how we get on, because it's definitely going to be a lot bigger of a project than you think it's going to be. Like you can't quite picture how big these are going to turn out. So like these are meant to be like little Lego characters that are about that big, but like that's only like the body of Darth Vader there. Like that's not even including, hi babe.
Hi babe.
Like that part there is the body, and then it goes up into the head here. So it is quite a bit bigger than you would expect, so it's going to take a bit longer as well. So that is my crochet. And then the only new thing to come in that wasn't yarn for this little guy is these. It doesn't look like much, but this is a ton of cross stitch floss. So my mum picked this up for me, and it originally came with a box that I think you were meant to be able to store the threads in their bobbins, but unfortunately that was broken. And these are not DMC, these are not Anchor, these are just cheap flosses that do the job, and I think you get like a couple of each colour. I'm not 100% sure. But here's like a random selection of some of the floss that you get. So I got a whole tub's worth. That will certainly keep me busy. There are little bobbins to wind them up in. Don't mind Scott taking his morning pills. You gonna open your can now, yeah? So these, they feel okay. They feel a little bit flimsy, but these actually feel quite sturdy. But because these don't have like DMC colours and stuff like that, or Anchor colour numbers, it's going to be really interesting, but I will find projects for them. Oh, that's a nice bright neon or orange. But yeah, like I'm finding my footing in cross stitch, and I'm sure I'm going to have a good amount of fun with these flosses. So that is something. So I'm very, very thankful to have these. And now, just to kind of hit on something I spoke about a bit earlier, I seem to have like decision paralysis when it comes to anything to do with the wedding, which is now going to be very interesting to talk about that Scott's in the room.
Do you want me to leave?
No, because this is going to be quite interesting to have you in. Do you want to come around and talk?
Sure. Excuse how I look, I'm just up.
Oh, don't worry, so was I when I started.
Hi everyone.
Wasn't expecting to do this morning.
Yeah, I'm just practicing for later. I want to go on camera for my friend's podcast.
Yeah, I told them about that already.
Yeah, I'm picking him up in like
Are you picking him up?
Well, his train's due in at 10:02.
Oh, that's
He doesn't
early.
know where he's going after that though, and he's not very good with directions.
Okay, so if I said like that I wanted to make stuff for the wedding, what do you like? What does your head jump to?
Like table placements and stuff.
Okay, but do you have an idea of what you would want for your table placements? Because I don't.
I know we were going to try and do like some kind of themed tables, so we were going to do like a Marvel table, Star Wars table, so on and so forth. We were going to try and get like a cheap lightsaber so that you could put flowers in.
Like, don't tell them all my wedding
Okay,
plans.
sorry.
Right, so because I keep looking at stuff and I'm like, do I want to make them all Halloween themed? You're gonna hurt your neck. do we want Halloween themed? Are we going with geek themed? Like, I can't make any decisions. I've got
And this is why we have over 2 years.
I know, but making stuff takes time.
I know, babe.
So yeah.
Any suggestions?
Anyone that's made like their stuff for their wedding, get in touch, please, because I have complete decision paralysis. And the only good point I have had recently is that my best friend and I went to a wedding fair in Braehead. You okay there?
I need burp.
Kirsty and I went to a wedding fair in Braehead, and we stopped by like someone that does like the invitations and the save the dates and everything. And I was like, right, okay, stupid question that I should probably already know the answer to. When do you send save the dates? When do you send invitations? Like, how far in advance do you do this? Because people don't talk about
No, they don't.
how far in advance you should do things. There are some guides online.
Like everything else in adult life, there isn't a particular roadmap on how you get taught, on what you should have get taught in school. It's like, we're going to make you learn algebra, but it's not really useful, but you could have been learning how to save for a mortgage.
Or tax.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I spoke to this lady who was really, really lovely and didn't think my question was really stupid, but at the same point I think she was very surprised I didn't know. And she's like, well, save the dates go out, what did I say, 9 to 12 months?
I think you said 8 to 9.
No, was that? Oh, okay. I'll go between like 8 to 10 months in advance you send out your save the dates. And then your invitations only go out 6 to 8 months before the event. So we're not getting married until October 2024.
Yep.
So we're golden. But...
Could win the jackpot by then.
Ugh, I wish.
If the people that won 184 million see this, tap us a tenner, that'd be lovely.
So yeah, I have a bit of decision paralysis when it comes to like what I'm going to be making, and I know I have my felt flower kits upstairs, but I didn't work on them because I had my fake nails on at the time and I couldn't do the pernickety detail stuff. And now I don't have my fake nails on, so I can go ahead and get started, but I think I'm just being lazy, maybe. You want to dash off now, or are you good?
I don't know.
That's all I had to ask.
Okay.
Do you have an idea of what you want?
I don't have an idea what my plan for today is right now.
Okay, happy try.
Hi people.
So yeah, I've got a bit of decision paralysis when it comes to the wedding in general, and I think that's having an effect because I'm just like, I should be making for that, but I don't know what I should be making for that. But I have some really lovely friends that are part of my virtual knit nights group who are making things for me, which is really, really kind of them. So things like pumpkins and leaves, and Teresa's made, she's going to make us 2 spiders. But they're cute. They're cute spiders. Don't shake your head.
I wasn't.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were. And I think I've asked if one of them can have like a top hat or something, but even if they're not, like I plan on making little like witch hats and stuff and having them on like maybe the on people's plates as like this is something you can take home if you want. I also just don't want to make too much stuff and then be like, well, what do I do with it all? So I'm having a bit of a conundrum when it comes to anything to do with the wedding. And then I also am just like, I want to make everything and anything when it's not related to the wedding. It's all fun and games. Also, if anyone is very curious or is looking for some yarn, I am doing a de-stash over on a separate Instagram page that I will link to below. But if you don't have access to Instagram and you are part of the Facebook group, please let me know if you want me to post in there. I didn't want to bombard the Facebook group with the posts, but if anyone is curious, I am de-stashing some really nice yarns, and every sale I make from those yarns is going straight into the wedding fund. And yeah, like, we're not by any means having an expensive wedding, but they are not cheap. Like, they are really not cheap. So check that out. Let me know if you want to buy anything from the D-Stash page. And I think I'm just going to wrap this up now because we need to get the flat cleaned up for his friend coming round. Especially considering they're going to be recording in our kitchen because he's getting an egg smashed over his head. 2 eggs smashed over his head. Again, depending how that video turns out, I may link it below for y'all to laugh at. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please think about subscribing to the channel. And then once you subscribe to the channel, if you want to be alerted to any new podcast episodes or any other videos I put up, because when I do eventually do the flowers, I'm probably going to do like a bit of a vlog about that. Hit the little bell and it'll come up asking if you want notified for any notifications, and if you select all notifications then YouTube will tell you when I put a new video out. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and until my next podcast, stay safe.
Bye!